how I interpreted the brief was to basically try and come up with a piece. There was a couple of things when we were discussing the choice of the sport. I think we kind of decided on, well, we had a few options. We decided on archery because I think we thought that there was kind of an obvious musical connection, bows and strings, and I think also it was kind of an attractive thing in terms of being able to kind of interpret. I don't know. It was. There's a kind of nice sort of elegance about it as a sport, and a kind of that ancient quality to it. I think led itself a lot to being able to kind of work with musically. So we interpreted it obviously through Caroline's words, but musically it focuses on sound samples from the archery club. They were recorded and kind of processed, and that makes up mostly electronic sound, and then live voice and live cello. So that stringed instrument, a bit like a bow with an arch. That was the idea. It was just really, really interesting, mostly to see, well, a number of things. I mean, mostly just seeing how it works and how kind of, you know, the great sounds, first of all, that we could kind of create by, you know, recording these archers, and they were great. They were really, really helpful. You know, you were kind of putting microphones on targets and saying, "Can you get within an inch of that?" And they were like, "No problem," and hitting it straight away. So that was really, really great. But also, I think seeing the kind of the equipment they had and things, I never realised kind of how intricate it was with like the bows and the kind of counterweights and everything that kind of goes into it, and how much kind of practice they do and so on. And so that was kind of really interesting and gave us a lot of ideas, I think, behind the story. And also just kind of getting to know them and kind of chatting about, particularly there's a couple of young archers there who were kind of on the verge of the Olympic team. It was really interesting talking to them and kind of things that they'd done and how often they train and the kind of commitment they had to just doing their sport with not that much funding and so on behind them. That was kind of really interesting as well. It was really nice kind of working. I mean, I've done some things with text before, but it's often been not with somebody providing the text. It's been kind of a group effort before. But actually working with a writer and being able to also discuss ideas quite early on. Caroline was very kind of open to sort of some musical things, some rhythmic ideas. So that was really kind of satisfying, being able to interpret someone else's words. Yeah. I think working with lots of different people, that was really, really interesting. Working with a sports group, but also working with people from different disciplines and musicians and so on, that was really satisfying. So I would like to do more of that. There's a sort of nice parallel, or at least I thought, between that kind of the sportsman, the archer, and their machine, their bow, with, you know, the solo cellist and their stringed instrument as well. So that was kind of the obvious choice. We came up with that quite quickly, that it should be one stringed instrument, and that kind of through the piece reflects the central character. It kind of always is being heard whenever he's being described. And the voice really was part of the decision behind that, was to kind of make sure that there was a kind of balance between spoken word and sung word. Mark Chambers, I kind of come across before because he's based up in the northwest, and the countertenor is, of course, has that kind of medieval quality to it as a voice, which I think also fit with the idea of archery being an ancient sport. So I think the sport very much inspired the choice of the instrumentation in that sense. Yeah.
I interpreted this brief in terms of, well, we were asked to pick a sport, and my favourite sport is archery. I think there's something magical about that because it's really ancient, and there's so many different ways that it functions in terms of survival, catching food, as a defence in war, and it's also a romantic symbol, and it's a sport. So I thought these contexts were really, really interesting in a way to sort of build a story. And when I was thinking about the sort of message I wanted to convey with this piece, it is about encouragement and about, you know, people rising to those great heights of Olympic stardom. It's always something that people want to achieve and really work so hard to do. And so it was important for me to try and get that across and to portray this young boy with these dreams that he eventually achieves despite great obstacles. Well, actually, I've never done anything with sport now I think about it, and it's been really, really good. It's been an interesting angle, and I think it's a really good relationship to forge between sport sports and arts, because I think a lot of artistic people don't like sports and a lot of sporty people don't like the arts. So this is a really great relationship, a marriage of sorts. Well, definitely in terms of archery, the focus element, it takes such stamina and such focus and dedication, and you really have to sort of imagine yourself achieving a target before you get there physically. So I think, yeah, definitely you have to sort of use certain powers that would definitely come in handy as a novelist, for example. The sound of the bow was really created by the cello, and that was just wonderful to really see the link, and I think the kids picked up on that too. But it worked so well, it was brilliant. I wouldn't have made a special trip down to London, unfortunately, to see the games, but this has given me an angle that I really appreciate, and I'll take much more notice of the games whenever they're on next year.
I've done a bit of a recording session, but I've never done any work on the sort of theme of sport, encountering with music in front of people. I've not done, but I've loved it today. It's been quite fun.
And yet, same, nothing for the Olympics specifically, but we've done some choir sessions for the Ashes, which is great. So cheesy arrangements of Jerusalem and Amazing Grace and all of those sort of things that they played before the crowd went out. But you know, you would never have known it was me. I was one of a cast of thousands, so it was good fun. I love my sport. I mean, I always have played cricket and rugby. Obviously, haven't played rugby for years because I had to be careful of my voice and stuff. But I was down in Dublin on Sunday, you know, on Saturday, sickeningly not being able to watch the Leinster game, but was out celebrating afterwards with the Leinster fans. So I love my sport, but very rarely does my singing and my and sport cross. For some reason, for a bloke that sings like a girl, it's a strange thing that they often don't want that at rugby matches or cricket. I can't understand it myself, but
I don't think you sing like a girl. I think you sing beautifully, and you're well, unique. You're not like anything. And I don't know. I guess I like the spirit of aspiration. That's something in all, whether it's sport or athleticism or music, something aspiring to be something great and thinking about it quite hard. That's a good thing. I think that's at the heart of the Olympic philosophy, isn't it?
You know, and how do you feel sort of being part of a team? I mean, I guess, you know, a lot of our business is sort of, you know, being part of that team, being, you know, working towards a common goal, which I think is shared in sport.
Yeah, I've got a friend who's a drummer who always says he quite likes people with cheeky eyes, and when you work in a team, the things that are unsaid are often better than the things that are said, and you can get that with cheeky eyes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, you know, most of my work is with choirs, ensembles, or with orchestras and stuff, and I think the dynamic of a choir, you know, if you get on, you know, I sing with choirs where you don't get on with everybody, and the end result is definitely impaired by that. But then there are other groups where you know everybody, we have shared history, we have, you know, just great friendships, and the result, I think, is incredibly, you know, a lot higher. Well, maybe from the inside, maybe not for an audience, but certainly from the inside, the feeling is you're sharing something, and there's that empathy, and there's that sort of connection, as you say, with just a look, or with just a breath, or with just a slight sort of turn of phrase or something. You don't have to sort of say, let's agree to do this. It happens spontaneously, and I think that is something that definitely music shares with sport.
I'm interested in the romantic notion of archery, like living in the forest and Robin Hood and things like that. And I play. Actually, I'm just about to buy a super curved bow, so I'm really interested. There's a German maker of bows who's made an extraordinary thing that I can play on all four strings at once, and it looks more like a bow from archery than a bow from classical music ever. And it's been around for a while, but I'm really keen to buy one and enlarge the repertoire for curved bow. So today's been quite amazing. And when you think about the stretching of yew wood and the creaking, and when I tune my cello every day, there's a creaking, and that's quite nice. And if you think about everything as sound and music, and that's quite nice. And I think the kids who came today, I think they stopped in their tracks and they thought about some of those things, because it was pretty explicit, like the creaking and the sounds of the archery, and that was lovely.
Yes, I was one of those kids that you know, made his bow from willow branches, and I taught myself to fletch my own arrows. Here I am. I'm talking a technical term here. So yeah, I had a field at the back of my house, and I used to go and sort of shoot whatever moved, usually missing, I'm glad to say. In fact, the day that I did hit something, I I got a bit of a shock because I had to go and finish it off. But it's, I probably shouldn't say that, should I? But it was quite a big arrow that went through quite a small bird, and it was a bit messy. But no. I haven't done it for years, but whenever I take my daughter, my parents live in Nottingham, and so we often go to Sherwood Forest, and there's nearly always, I know, so you should join. Although actually, dare I say, it's a bit disappointing. It's not really, it's great, but there's always an archery stall there, and so you can go along and you can sort of literally shoot arrows in Sherwood Forest. It doesn't get any more romantic than that, really.
I like wood. because I play a wooden stringed instrument, and the wood vibrates. And over years, the ways it vibrates, it changes. And I think that's why I think of archery as kind of a romantic sport.
Well, do you know how a bow is made? The front is made of the heartwood of the bow, of the yew, and the back is made of the sort of the sapwood. So you've got the hardwood and the softwood, which is where the strength comes. So it has to come from a particular part of the yew tree. So it's not just any old lump of wood. So it's this sort of chemistry of wood.
Yeah,
is really very much the same as making a musical instrument. You know, you have to have the right combination of woods to make a good longbow. Anyway, obviously nowadays they use plastic or fiberglass or whatever. But originally, so yeah, I am an expert. I am an expert. Yeah. Yeah, it was great, you know, sort of meeting two complete strangers on an afternoon and and producing.
We don't know each other at all.
We don't know each other at all. So we met this afternoon, and you know, through a collaborative.
I want to say something, which is that children, because a lot of the audience was children, are unfettered with opinions about taste, and they're ready to try anything. And therefore, if you give them great lofty or stimulating ideas, they're often better placed than anyone to run with them, and that some of those ideas, I hope, will stay with them for the rest of their lives and give them kind of inspiration. I mean, maybe they will forget some bits, but if they remember one bit, because it was probing or stimulating, it's good to be doing serious things, I think.
Yeah, and the same for me. I mean, always, you know, even now, even though the countertenor voice is quite common, there is always going to be an audience that, for whom it will be the first time they hear a countertenor sing. So there's a responsibility with that, but also a real excitement to see just what the reaction is going to be. And I think Adam wrote really well for my voice. He's heard me sing a little bit, but not so much. And I think he captured the interplay, especially between the cello and the main theme of the piece. I think worked really beautifully, and had the breathing space that it needed, and I think brought home the moral of the story, really. Don't think you can, because whatever you think, you can't. No, don't think you can't, because whatever you think, you can.